Greetings Earthlings, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sumet Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, aka Uncle Makara, aka Dr. Scripts, aka Zoom. Let's get it. Today we're talking all about if you're ever feeling uncertain around doing any magical path working or channeling or any of these different spiritual tools, okay, that you're using, and maybe you're having doubts and fear and your left brain is coming in with all sorts of fucking skepticism, and you're just overly concerned about little things like being possessed or protection or how to protect myself, you know, when I invoke these different spirits and entities and stuff like this. I remember when I was first starting out with this channeling stuff, my mind was completely going against me. In a sense, I didn't really know how to handle myself. I was very confused, but then I understood the confusion was good. Confusion was good because it led me to unfamiliar situations, into situations that I did not know about, into situations where I found myself being very unpredictable, right? Moments of change, moments of rapid transformation that would happen out of the blue. So you really got to start out with a couple of these tools, okay? A way that you can measure your progress is what are the results you're getting, okay? What is showing up and manifesting in your life as you're doing these practices? A huge part of this is the belief and the confidence. On this process, when you first start out doing something, you're not going to be that confident, okay? You're going to be shaky, a little bit hesitant. Maybe you're a little bit rusty. You haven't been practicing for years. Maybe you just feel like, oh man, I gotta get the ball rolling, right? These entities don't really want to work with me. I don't know, man, about this magic stuff. Maybe I'll just, I grew up Catholic or something like that, right? We always go into our past and our past like dogma or religion or things like this. Not to say that I have anything against organized religion, though there have been a lot of negative sides of it. I do agree with you there. I think religion creates rules and boundaries for people that sometimes can be indoctrination, but also at times it can be very healing and very protective, supportive, being a part of a community and so forth. So I'm not hating on religion per se, but I am saying if you grew up as a Christian, as a Hindu, as a Muslim, you might have been very confined by those teachings. Like, you can't learn anything beyond this. Yes, it gives you certainty, it gives you familiarity. You can be like, oh yeah, this life is simple. I'm just gonna live and be happy and, have a family and blah, blah, blah. But then there's certain people that want to take it beyond, right? Yeah, they want all those 3D things, but they also want to expand themselves. They want to transcend the boundaries of who they actually are and figure out who they really are. Not what society wants them to be, right? I could have been an IT professional, just doing engineering and fucking, like every other Indian guy you see, right? I could have done that. But I made a conscious choice, okay? A conscious choice to change myself, to change my personality, to transcend, go through the difficult period and the tough times. You see all these students who are like really, cramming for exams and like putting all into their studying. That is me as well. Except I transmuted that skill and put it into esotericism. Whereas regular people, they took it in their own realm, right? Whatever they wanted to do with that information. Whereas I took it in a completely opposite direction or a different way, okay? So then I started to understand that this is what life is really about. It's about exploration. It's about figuring things out. It's about guiding ourselves through this process. It's not about giving up so easily, right? It's not about forfeiting as we get started and we're running through the door screaming, right? Some protective measures to protect you and, keep you safe. Keep you not so fearful of this stuff, man. Because the fear is going to be there in the beginning. And at times you have to gain trust with these beings and these deities. But I will give you some protective measures that'll make you feel like you're in charge. Like you're the magician, you're the sorcerer, you're the one who is in control of your life. Magic is the opposite of victimhood, okay? You want to determine that this is the result that I want and this is what I'm going to put into this. I'm going to charge this. I'm going to energize this reality. You're almost using nature as your muse, right? That's what I used in the beginning. Nature used to be my muse in the beginning, okay, when I first got started with this stuff. And I was hella skeptical, okay? So I get it, man. I have a very, I grew up with a lot of conditioning, let's just say, that everything has to be MLA format and like referenced correctly, and like I came from that reality. So as I started doing mysticism, it completely threw me out of the loop. I was like, what is this world, right? This is so confusing to me, but I loved it. Okay, I got high from it. I got elated from it. I wanted to know more. I wanted to dig deeper. And some people, they dig so deep into the rabbit hole that they get trapped in some conspiracy theory pocket, or like some kind of a hole, right, that they can't dig themselves out of. I didn't go that far to get trapped into the abyss, into the darkness. I came back and found my way in the middle way, in the Buddhist understanding of the middle path, and also not leaning so much on one side that I become lopsided, which is why we created the archetype of the priest beast, the highly integrated man, or the woman, the priestess beast, or the highly integrated woman, where they can come from that midpoint, from that 0 point, okay? And they can remain sharp. They can remain in that no mind, that mushin, so that they can manifest and move along forward. Let's talk about protection, okay? Number one, sea salt soap. If you're not using dead sea salt soap, you want to get that immediately, okay? Buy it off of Amazon right now. In fact, pause this video, buy it off of Amazon, have it arrive, get it started, okay? Start showering with that, start bathing with that daily. That's already a protective mechanism, okay? And once you're using it, you intend to protect yourself using it, okay? The second thing is salt. If you don't have sea salt, just use regular salt or table salt or whatever. Just have a little bit of it before you invoke or do some kind of a ritual. Have a little bit by your door so that the negative energies or other, influences can't come in and disturb you. Lock the door, obviously, as well. Put salt near your ritual a little bit. Put it near the windows and so forth. And you're good to go, okay? If you're interested in Primal Sutra, in the pleasure alchemy teachings and how you can, use this tantric riz, then you can start to really understand what to do and how to do it, okay? By the way, join the Primal Sutra Adepts program. That's where we teach you these ancient traditions. We have a huge library of a lot of light codes and a lot of downloads and a lot of webinars, master classes, secret channelings that we don't share with anybody else. And it's very, very powerful stuff, man. You're gonna get lots of epiphanies and, revelations from that. Next, we have something called the magic square. You can look this up and repeat this, okay? Very, very powerful to repeat this before. Always have these 3 incense: frankincense, myrrh, and dragon's blood. These 3 are very, very positive, high vibrational energies that are going to take away that fearful energy or that negative lower vibrational, right? The lower vibrational energy creates fear, okay? As you gain more mastery and you are rising up your level of consciousness, how do you do that? You got to clear the gunk, okay? You got to clear the gunk that's in the lower states of consciousness. Easier said than done, okay? My program, Flomo Sapien, if you're ever interested in that, shoot me a message, because I will take you through the 7 chakras. And on the 8th week, we do a character integration to fully create that hologrammatic self, your avatar, so you can fully step into it. Okay, we also sometimes do past life regressions and all this other stuff, right? Besides that point, I found that this tech erodes any other tech that I've learned in the past, including NLP, CBT, EDMR, EFT, the tapping, and all of that stuff, right? This tech is an enhanced version of that. It's almost like you have that tech down here, and then you have the tech which is being shared currently on these videos, and a lot of it, from my own tech as well, called TPM. If you haven't heard of it, it's called Theatroplasticity Method, okay? Very big ass name, but you can just call it TPM, okay? TPM is actually a way of life. It's a philosophy. It's understanding that you are the main character of your movie, right? You talk about main character energy. That's what that book is about. How do you do that? You become more intentional about your life, how you're portraying yourself, and how you're choosing the actual things that you want to have your life determined by. Then you want to understand that you are guided or you are protected by certain beings, not so much that they are, coming in the way or infiltrating different things, or, you want to create a primer. What do I mean by this? A primer is basically a high vibrational energy, a very, very potent, high vibrational energy that you create as a baseline, as a protector, as a primer before you call on any negative beings or darker entities or underworld entities, or, you know, beings that are more so associated with the underworld rather than the oversoul. The oversoul is heaven. The underworld is going into the deepest depths of hell and even underground that, okay? And then heaven, and then beyond heaven, and then, you know, supra heaven, and then, you know, etc., into the one, the monad, you know, the connection to God itself. So these beings, I use primarily starseed frequencies are very good for this. So I use Sire Osmosis' frequencies. I use Padmasambhava, which is very highly powerful positive frequency. Okay, his mantra itself, I would say, is definitely, you know, one of the most empowering ways that you can, you know, amplify this and tap into this. That's probably his energy right now, by the way, the butterfly, purity white butterfly, right? Higher frequency, okay? Very, very high frequency. As soon as I said his name, you understood that, you know, the butterfly came over. Next, we would have the energy of the archangels. Specifically, I would say Michael, okay? Archangel Michael's energy is very, very potent. I will link you, actually, a sound file with his energy that will transmute bad vibes very quickly, okay? It cuts through any of the kind of resistances or illusions coming from that deceptive, you know, lower frequency world. Archangel Michael's energy is very, very powerful. I personally don't like to work with Michael. I like to work with Raziel and Metatron instead of these other beings, but primarily everybody has their own preference, right, of what they want to do or who they want to work with. So it's definitely according to you and what you choose for your path working, okay? It takes around like 4 things, right, that you need in order for you to get connected to this. Number 1, protection, as I mentioned. Number 2, the confidence, the charisma, the you know, sexual energy, that boost of momentum, vitality, vajra. That's what you need, okay? That's why we embrace the understanding of masculinity, you know, retaining your seed if you want to. I'm not forcing that onto you. I don't want to impose my will on anybody, but for me personally, I understand that retaining it has been a very, very powerful transmutive practice for me. And it's gotten me a lot of great benefits in my own magical path working, in my own life. I can see it wherever I go. I can see the impact of what I'm creating, what I'm doing. The third thing would be the tools, the magical principles, you know, the techniques, the different learnings and teachings that you can actually apply into the physical world. And lastly would be the experiential wisdom, okay, the experiential learning. Not the book knowledge and just, you know, we're in the age of Aquarius, guys. Information is everywhere, okay? Information is overloaded, in fact. But you got to come in with the implementation and the inspiration from the information. That's what sets you apart as the Savage Shaman. You get that? Man, I'm getting hella swollen handsome, bro. I swear. I'm going to take over Kolkata one day. Straight up. Basically, the more you explore this, the more you start to understand that this shit is like a video game, bro. You know, like we are on level 1, you start with just the basic stuff. Oh yeah, you do a ritual here and there, you know, you start dabbling, you start, you know, going on that buffet mode of like exploring every single book that you can and reading everything you can about it. And then slowly but surely you get access to these higher levels. And every single level there's a new devil. Every single level there's a new boss that you have to kill. And it's almost like you have to go through the levels like that. There's a big challenge on waiting for you on the side of that. And the journey is not this linear thing. It's a coming inwards and a spiral upwards. So it's a coming inwards, spiral upwards, coming inwards, spiral up. That's what's happening, okay? And we're weaving in between the infinity signs, so heaven and hell, until we find our most truest neutral baseline happiness, baseline perspective of how we can live from that purity. Our default mode network has fused with our higher selves so that we can live our best lives. You get what I'm saying? Now that's very heady for a lot of people to understand, but for the people who got what I said there, you are definitely going to enjoy our podcast. It's called Savage Shaman Seminars, okay? Go to IMC TV. They're powerful. The last episode we shot was like a few nights ago, where it was a very powerful episode, man. You basically have to understand that the anxiety and the fear that you're feeling is like something is about to happen. It is fuel for you to tap into. It is just unfamiliar to you, and you're uncertain about it, but once you get the confirmation and synchronicities start happening, man, I look like the Indian Hancock. I don't know what's going on with my style today, but shout out to you know, the new IMC Beast camp called Dragon's Blood. We are Dragon's Blood. You know, shout out to Dragon King, shout out to our dragon path working. You know, the dragons are powerful energy because that is the energy of truth, okay? And you cannot hide from the dragon because it will cut through whatever illusion comes up. You see, we at Primal Sutra, we understand that we create this readiness. It's not a fear, it's a readiness. Sometimes you have gatekeepers, and what is a gatekeeper? Okay, I have a tattoo gatekeeper right here. What is a gatekeeper? A gatekeeper is a teacher. Okay, a gatekeeper ultimately teaches you by blocking the gates until you are what? Ready. So you might just be scared because you're unprepared. You're unprepared to step into this realm. You're feeling a little bit of that resistance, but guess what? The greater the resistance, the greater impact that you can have towards your soul's evolution and your spiritual growth. So the more you feel like, oh man, I really don't think I should be doing this, I don't know. Definitely you want to differentiate between judgment and discernment. What's the difference, if at all? Discernment is very objective, right? It's rational. It's the understanding that, look, I'm not bringing any of my past conditioning and dogma and weird knowledge that I've accumulated over the years into this pure experience with this higher being or this entity or whoever I'm speaking to, one of my students, prospects, you know? So if you discern and create more curiosity rather than judging yourself and creating more anxiety, right, into the future, like, oh, something bad is gonna happen from this, all these beings are gonna come in and infiltrate us, oh, we're gonna get attacked tomorrow. Instead of creating more fear, you want to create more references. Reference experiences that you can definitely say that, man, this shit works, okay? And we have a lot of those at Primal Sutra. A lot of those, countless examples that it's working, okay? And that's why we keep this energy moving. That's why this, you know, YouTube channel's name has changed. And that's why we continue to excel and serve ourselves, but also serve the tribe, you guys who are out there listening to this information, you know, embodying this information, allowing it to make you connected to what you truly prefer and who you are. So just like an athlete, an Olympian, right, shows up and trains every day, you train every day on your spirituality. There isn't a day that goes by where you let go of that spiritual realm or that connection, because that is the substrate, that is the space in which everything exists. Let's say you have a tree house, you remove that tree house, what remains? It's spirituality, it's the essence, it's the Brahman, it's the substrate, it is that. So it's always going to be in the background. It's the fact that you are consciously bringing that through into your waking life that's going to make a difference. Because of course you can go into your dreams and, you know, change the template reality like that. A lot of the beings have taught us, you know, different ways to do this. I think it's so potent when you can live a spiritual lifestyle, right? When you can, there are certain people, like in India per se, who wake up in the morning, they do japas and mantras and chanting, and they do that throughout the day, you know? They just do it. That's their thing. That's what they do, you know? And I find that very fascinating. All they're doing is they're changing their magnetism of their aura. They're changing, you know, different things. But the difference, I would say the main difference, and I've spoken to a lot of, you know, taxi drivers and people here as well who are spiritual and so forth. But they have this mentality here in India that you have to do this, right? And it's a tradition, and we've done this forever, and, you know, I can't go against these understandings. Like, I think it's so powerful when you have a personal relationship with God, because the relationship with God is personal, just like falling in love. It's a personal experience. You can't be like, my experience of falling in love is like everybody else's, you know? Yeah, you can create some kind of general framework, right? Oh yeah, I have heart palpitations, yeah, palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on my sweater already, mom spaghetti, right? We can say that's the experience of love, but really everybody has their own subjective experience and their own subjective experience of reality. So that is going to come in, that is going to infiltrate, you know, the discernment, the objectivity, the truth. So don't try to label or categorize everything that you see, but instead create a system, create a framework for yourself that you can repeat, make it a repeatable process instead of a process where, you know, you're relying on some kind of an external thing, right? Instead, you want to go inwards and figure out, like, what is it that I can start to stack? Make sure that you have this mindset. I am a spiritual athlete, okay, I'm going to go through the championships. I'm gonna go through these spiritual tournaments, okay? You've watched all of these animes and spiritual shows. They always have like some kind of a tournament, right? Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, all of these different animes, man. They have some kind of a tournament. You have to mentally prep yourself for the tournament. I want to be the very best, right? This I'm wearing MMA gloves. It kind of reminds me of like Ash right now. Bro, I don't even look like a fully formed human being right now. I look like I'm from Team Rocket or something. But anyway, have this kind of spiritual athleticism, right? The ability to maximize, to optimize things, to keep moving forward, to keep looking for the new tech, to keep expanding and moving your, the lineage forward. That is that true, spiritual aligned hustler. You know what I'm talking about? Like the one that can fully delve in to their spiritual practice, and they're doing their spiritual practice like it's life or death, like it's a business. Right? And that's why I made it a business, because it's fun, man. Imagine if you can make your life, right, embody the health, wealth, and relationships that you truly desire in your pathworking, in your craft, in what you're trying to do here on this physical incarnation in 2023 and beyond. Whatever time you're watching this video from, man, you might be watching this from the future. And salute to you, because this is literal time travel, man. Shout out to all of the little critters in the grass here, like any insects or birds or any kind of, frogs or whatever that reside here in this park. But yeah, guys, have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. You already know we're all going to make it. I will see you on the other side. Us.